Emily Carter stood alone outside Courtroom 7, clutching a worn folder so tightly her knuckles had turned white. She had spent the last 3 years fighting a legal battle against the powerful Harrison Corporation, the company that had taken her late father's family ranch through what she believed was fraud. Everyone had warned her not to fight them. "They have the best lawyers in America," her friends had said. "You'll lose everything." But Emily wasn't there for money. She wanted the truth. The courtroom doors opened, and people slowly filled the room. Reporters whispered to one another. Expensive attorneys arranged stacks of documents while executives from Harrison Corporation smiled confidently, convinced the case would end in their favor. Emily quietly walked to the plaintiff's table, wearing the same navy blue blazer she had worn to every hearing because she couldn't afford another suit. The courtroom became silent as the judge entered. "All rise." Everyone stood. Judge William Anderson adjusted his glasses and opened the case file. He calmly began reading the plaintiff's information. "Emily." He paused. His eyes stopped on the last name. The entire courtroom waited. The judge looked up from the file, staring directly at Emily as if he had seen a ghost. The color slowly disappeared from his face. Even the defense attorneys exchanged confused glances. Then, in a voice barely above a whisper, the judge repeated her surname one more time. "Carter?" The courtroom fell completely silent. The silence felt endless. Judge Anderson lowered the file and looked directly at Emily. "Miss Carter, are you related to Jonathan Carter?" Emily nodded slowly. "He was my father." A wave of whispers spread across the courtroom. Several older attorneys exchanged uneasy looks, while the CEO of Harrison Corporation suddenly lost his confident smile. The judge leaned back in his chair, his expression changing from curiosity to disbelief. "I knew your father," he said quietly. "He was one of the most respected attorneys this state has ever seen." Emily swallowed hard. "He passed away 3 years ago." The judge closed the file for a moment. "If your father was involved," he said, "then this case deserves far more attention than I first believed." For the first time that morning, Harrison Corporation's lawyers looked nervous. Emily realized the courtroom atmosphere had completely changed. The case they thought was already won had only just begun. Judge Anderson adjusted his glasses and turned toward Harrison Corporation's lead attorney. "Before we continue," he said firmly, "I want every document related to the Carter Ranch transferred to this courtroom immediately." The attorney hesitated. "Your Honor, those files aren't necessary today." "They are now," the judge replied. Minutes later, several thick boxes of records were placed before the court. As the judge reviewed the documents, one yellowed envelope slipped onto the bench. It was marked confidential. The courtroom watched in silence as Judge Anderson opened it. Inside was a signed letter from Emily's late father, warning that the ranch transfer had been obtained through forged signatures and hidden financial records. The judge's expression hardened. He looked directly at Harrison Corporation's executives. "Someone in this courtroom has been hiding the truth." For the first time, the corporation's lawyers lowered their heads. Emily felt hope rising for the first time in years. Before the defense could object, the courtroom doors opened. A gray-haired man walked slowly toward the witness stand. "My name is Robert Hayes," he said. "I was Harrison Corporation's chief accountant for 20 years. The room fell silent. Robert admitted that company executives had ordered him to alter financial records and hide the real ownership of the Carter Ranch. He had kept copies of every document because he feared the truth would someday matter. The defense attorney jumped to his feet. "Objection." Judge Anderson shook his head. "Overruled." Robert handed a flash drive to the court clerk. "Everything is on there," he said. Emily watched in disbelief. The corporation's executives looked terrified. For the first time, the courtroom realized this case was no longer about allegations, it was about proof. The courtroom screens lit up. Bank records, forged signatures, and secret emails appeared one after another. Every document pointed to the same conclusion. Harrison Corporation had stolen the Carter family's ranch through fraud. Gasps echoed across the courtroom. Reporters hurried to write every word. The company's CEO wiped sweat from his forehead. Judge Anderson stared at the evidence for several seconds before speaking. This court has seen enough. Emily closed her eyes. After 3 painful years, someone finally believed her. The courtroom screens lit up. Bank records, forged signatures, and secret emails appeared one after another. Every document pointed to the same conclusion. Harrison Corporation had stolen the Carter family's ranch through fraud. Gasps echoed across the courtroom. Reporters hurried to write every word. The company's CEO wiped sweat from his forehead. Judge Anderson stared at the evidence for several seconds before speaking. This court has seen enough. Emily closed her eyes. After 3 painful years, someone finally believed her. Outside the courthouse, cameras flashed from every direction. A reporter asked, "Emily, what are you going to do with the money?" Emily smiled through her tears. "I'm not here because I wanted millions." She looked toward the courthouse. "I came because my father taught me that the truth is always worth fighting for." The crowd applauded. Even Judge Anderson, watching from a courthouse window, smiled quietly. Jonathan Carter's name had finally been cleared. His legacy lived on.